Mama took me to the beach one day in the merry month of May. I dug a big hole in the sand that day, laid down on her belly, the seagulls say, it's about time to be born in this world. It's about time to come out, baby girl. Lullaby ocean, lullaby sea, the rhythm of the waves inviting me. Sleeping like a baby, but then I woke like a wave, her water broke. It's about time to be born in this world. It's about time to come out, baby girl. The tide comes in, the tide goes out, we're breathing with this earth. All living things that pass this way come around again through birth. I took Mama to the beach one day to watch the waves and the seagulls play, wiggle our toes in the warming sand, where sky meets water and I land. Comes a time when we all leave this world. You've done your very best to raise your girls. It's about time to be born in this world. It's about time to come out. Mama took me to the beach one day. I took Mama to the beach one day. The beach one day. The beach one day.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Cindy. Just a beautiful song poem. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Well, happy Sunday to you. Nice, drizzly, kind of foggy kind of day. I love these kind of days. Julie may or may not be loving them. She's actually doing the 10K this morning. So she's probably getting a little wet right now, but that's all right. I think she was really looking forward to it, and I'm excited for it. Already done. All right. Way to go. All right. Way to go. Yeah, that was actually a new thing for her. She really was really excited about that, so I'm really happy for her. Yeah. Well, I'll read to you first from John 14, chapter 27. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. I like to just leave it at that. Peace I leave with you. I've had an amazing week, and I'm going to tell you some about it, but I want to kind of lead into it a little bit. And as I lead into it, I wanted to to share with you. We've been, of course, working with this work called Row, Row, Row Your Boat, and it's been a very valuable tool for me. I hope it has been for you as well. It came up a number of times and reminded me a number of times to work with this understanding of being in the divine flow, and that we are this boat that is traveling through time and space, through life, and that in our boat is our mind and also our spirit, and that we have the opportunity to flow with this river, and we also have the opportunity to row with the river, or across the river, or against the river. And I've spent many times and days and weeks and months and years, oftentimes trying to row against the river, and I'm sure many of you have as well, really trying to resist what is, and trying to resist this flow. And there is this amazing flow in life. There is a flow of spirit. There's a flow of life energy, of love energy, of abundance energy. And you and I are a part of it. We don't always recognize it, though. We're not always aware of it. And so this is a wonderful way of helping us to remind ourselves to move back into that space where we are able to consciously participate in that flow. And that's what the ability to row is about. It's really to be able to make choices that are in alignment with that which is moving us toward a greater good in our life and experiences. And sometimes, though, even the flow will take us over places that feel like rapids. They'll take us over places that feel like waterfalls. And, you know, if you ever done rafting or canoeing on a whitewater river, I can tell you it's very exhilarating to go over a waterfall. And it can be very scary, and it can be very, it's just a great opportunity to learn this metaphor in life. And there are ways that you can do it, and you look for ways that are a good way to go through the rapids and a good way to go through the waterfalls, and to be able to go over the waterfalls in a way that keeps you headed in the direction that you want to go, rather than, as I did, I shared a couple of weeks ago, of going down the falls sideways and wrapping your canoe around a tree. So thinking about that imagery has been really valuable for me over this last week or so, and I came across this quote. It's attributed to Albert Einstein. It says that once you can accept that the universe as matter expanding into nothing is something, wearing stripes and plaids come easy. Apparently someone made a comment about his stripes and plaids. We do live in a universe that's ever expanding. We live in a universe that's ever growing, and we are participating in that, and it's ever expanding in a way that is, whether we are conscious of it or not, are helping us to move into our own unique divine potential, our own unique possibility. So it's not necessarily expanding in the way that we naturally visualize of a balloon expanding, but it's expanding in ways that are enhancing the essence and the level of vibration and energy and quality of the universe and of us and everything around us. And it's continually calling us to be a part of and participate in ways that allow us to really flow more easily and move through life in ways that really allow for life to be good. I'm a firm believer. I'm convinced that life is meant to be good. Jesus said, I came that they may have and have it abundantly. And so we talked a little bit last week on Easter about how Jesus went through the whole crucifixion and resurrection experience, and I really do not feel that Jesus, quote, suffered through that, because I'm convinced that suffering is a state of consciousness. It's a state of the mind, I should say. And Jesus was in such a state of consciousness that he was one with the divine, and therefore he was not necessarily, I think he was committed to living his unique divine purpose here. And I think there's a real value in recognizing that he came to show us not only his unique divine purpose, but your unique divine purpose. Because he said, the things that I have done, ye shall do also, and even greater things. And to me, it's really about, metaphysically, about you will demonstrate your unique divine purpose by allowing yourself to be aware of and conscious of your own oneness with that divine. And when you do that, you're able to go through these kinds of difficulties and challenges, no matter what the world throws at you. There's a way to go through those in a conscious way where you experience peace and well-being. I love that term well-being. This is what Abraham Hicks talks about, is really the essence of who and what we are. We really are in a state of well-being in our true nature. And so part of our work is to wake up to and to practice being who and what we truly are. And a part of being who and what we truly are, it helps us to recognize that what all we are seeing around us right now, when we look out at our lives, when we look out at experiences, it's important for us to begin to recognize that we're dreaming. You're dreaming. Right now, you are dreaming. You realize that? Ultimately, what we're seeing and experiencing in our life and world is really inputs into the system, input through our eyes, our ears, our senses, and our eyes, our ears, our senses are sending signals to our brain, and our brain is then reflecting on that and interpreting those signals as something. And the way it does that is it relates it back to something that we've experienced before in order to try and make sense out of it. And then it pulls back a memory and pulls that memory, not only the memory, but it pulls back all of the emotions and feelings and the details of that experience and saying, oh yes, I recognize this is that. And if it was something that was difficult and challenging and painful for us, we go, ah! Yeah, that's a direct quote, by the way. We freak out. We freak out. We don't do it consciously. It's totally on our unconscious level, but we are triggered into experiencing fear, pain, and what happens is then we close down that flow. We close down the flow. This is really one of the essence of our lessons that we had yesterday in this wonderful work called The Untethered Soul. And I highly recommend this work also for you. So part of our work is to recognize, it's not even so much that we are to try to come out of the dream, because it's really a part of the nature of our experience here. But I think part of our work is to wake up and become lucid in the dream. Now, how many of you ever had done dream work? Have a few of you done some dream work? Have you had the experience of waking up in a dream? You know what I'm talking about, don't you? There's a way that you can actually be in a sleeping dream and become aware that you're dreaming. And then when you're able to do that, you can begin to direct aspects of that dream, can't you? You can make choices and decisions, and well, guess what? That's our assignment while we're awake, is to recognize that we are actually a part of and living in a dream experience, and that we do have the ability to be conscious of that, and that we are participating in that, and we are giving meaning to all of the different experiences that come into our life. And we do that by making choices and decisions, and we sometimes often do that by making judgments and criticisms and resistance of what's going on in the dream, a resistance of what's happening. And so part of our unfolding, and one of the things that he talks about in here that I really love, is that part of our work is to begin to recognize that we're in a dream, and when we find ourselves judging and labeling things as good and bad, that we are actually helping to create experiences that are more in that vein. And so we're really working to try and recognize that there's a flow that can happen, and as we begin to move through that in a conscious way, with our hearts open, we change that experience. It's transformed. It's transformed because the energy that we are participating in with it is transformed. And we're no longer using the same reflex reaction that we've had from the past to really experience what's going on right now. Does that make sense? So let me tell you a little bit about my week. I had a fantastic opportunity to live out one of my desires and one of my dreams. That's another thing that he talks about here that's really valuable, is that our desires and our dreams for what we want to see and do and experience in life are a part of the divine flow. They're there for a reason, for a purpose, and the purpose is to help move you in a direction of experiencing more of your own unique divine nature. So I had a dream and a desire some years ago that I put out to the universe to be able to go and take a workshop at Edwene Gaines Retreat Center. Most of you are familiar with Edwene Gaines, but if you're not, she's a woman of power and passion, and she is dedicated and committed to elevating the abundance consciousness of planet Earth. And she is not only committed to doing that, she's been doing it. It's been happening, and many of you have received the benefits of some of her ideas and awareness and teachings. Well, I got a chance to go to Alabama, beautiful country where she lives. She lives in this beautiful farm retreat kind of place, and has turned it into a wonderful retreat center. And I had lots of opportunities through the week to be reminded to sing my little song. You know the one? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream? Yeah. So I had these wonderful opportunities to remember to do that, and as I was trying to go out there, I flew into Atlanta and rented a car, and as I flew into Atlanta, everything was going fine, going smooth, and I checked the bag because it was less expensive to check the bag than it was to carry it on this airline. And so I checked my bag, and that was fine. That worked out fine. And then I made a decision. I rented a car, but I looked at what it was going to cost to rent a car at the airport, and I decided, you know, there's a better way to do this, or at least a less expensive way of doing this. And so I found that I could rent a car from a place up north of Atlanta. I had to go up north anyway, and I thought, well, I'm just going to ride their train system from the airport up to this other rental place. Saved about $300, and I thought, okay, that's great. Thank you, God. So I'm listening to my guidance on this, and I thought, yeah, I could do that. So I wound up taking the train up there, was able to, and I accidentally got off about a mile short of where I was supposed to be. And I thought, well, that's okay. I need to get a little walk in. I've got to get my steps in on my Fitbit, right? And so I was walking along, and I'm pulling along my suitcase with me, and everything's fine. I thought, they're going to close any minute now. And I realized my time was running short, and I realized I need to get there. And I got there just before they closed, and they had one car left. One car. And it was an upgrade. They upgraded me for free, and I'm going, okay, thank you. I accept my good. You know, that was nice, really nice. So, you know, I was just listening to that idea of just go with the flow with this. There's, you know, trust and listen, you know. And so as I was going up there, I had to drive actually 2 hours from Atlanta to get up to her retreat place, and that was just wonderful. And I had given myself plenty of time to get there. I was planning on getting there about an hour early. And as I'm driving along, I look on the dashboard of the vehicle, and it says the time. And I looked on the time on my little phone, and it says a different time, an hour difference. And I suddenly realized that it was a different time zone, that I was going to a place and I was going to be about an hour late for the program. And I really, really didn't want to be late for this program. So I thought, oh gosh, what am I going to do? So set the intention that I'm going to be there on time. But I did call them. I thought, well, I'm going to call them anyway because I may be late. So I called them and to let them know I was going to be late. And they really had encouraged everyone to be there on time. And so I said, when I commit to do that, I really do my best to try and do that. But you know, I realized what happened was, and I'm getting my story mixed up a little bit, what happened was I thought I was going to get there late, but the reality was the time change made me there on time. And so I actually managed to get there right on time. So I got my story a little mixed up, but so anyway, that was a great experience. So I had a great experience there, and it was a wonderful retreat training session for New Thought ministers from around the country. And we had a wonderful experience of really sharing and praying with each other. And Edwin took us through some very powerful exercises, and I'll share some of those with you at a different time, but some very powerful things. And one of the things that I was blessed with is I do love teaching EFT, and I was asked by Edwin to actually get up and do about a half-hour demonstration of EFT with all of the ministers there, and some really powerful things happened for folks, and things began to click, and it was like, okay, this is great. And so I had a chance to share some of my passion and things that I love doing, and so that was a great experience. And so the last night of the training, and this is something that I had kind of set out there for myself, the last night of the training, they do a fire walk. And I know there's some in this room have done fire walks. I'm curious how many of you have actually done a firework. We got 2 back here.
Walking on fire?
Walking on fire. Walking on fire.
I got a coupon, but gave it up for a salt tub.
Went for the salt tub instead. Well, one of the things that I got out of this experience and learned very clearly is that the biggest part of the experience of a fire walk is learning to listen to your inner guidance. That's a really, really key teaching and piece of what the fire walk is about. So, went through the whole thing, and I'm thinking about this fire walk the whole time and really wanting to do it and not sure that I was really going to do it. Really kind of wanting to do it, but really, it did bring up some anxiety and fear for me.
You wanted to want
I wanted to want to do it, yes. And I really wanted to do it. And I just thought, well, and she emphasized over and over again that you can do this, but you do need to make sure that you truly do listen. You ask very clearly of Spirit, can I do this safely and not get burned? And then you listen to that guidance. And you do what the guidance tells you. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Don't do it because you think you should. Don't do it because you're supposed to. Do it because you get a yes. If there's a message that I can give you about being in the divine flow, that's the message. The message is really listening to that inner guidance, to really listening to whether you are being told to move in this way or told to move in that way, to really move forward with an idea or an experience in your life, or to perhaps back off and do something different. See, that divine flow is really a flow of energy. It's a flow of consciousness. It's a flow of love also. And it's really trying to move you in a way that will bless you beyond your own awareness and understanding and experience of it. And so listening is a key aspect of this. So one of the instructions that they gave us before we did this, we were doing this wonderful chant. And as we're doing this chant, we're walking around the fire, and I'm telling you, this fire was glowing as red as Lizzie's blouse, her sweater, blouse. Yeah, it was that red. And I'm thinking, oh my, am I really going to do this? Am I going to do this? And so we're doing this chant, we're going round and round, and as we're going around, we're chanting, clear your mind, see what you find, and bring it all back to your people. And we're chanting this over and over again. And as I'm chanting this, I had a really elevated feeling and experience. Clear your mind. No, release your mind. Let me say it differently. Release your mind, see what you find, and bring it all back to the people. So one of the things I realized is my mind was really telling me, this is crazy. Are you really thinking about doing something this dumb? Why would you want to do this? Why is it, all this chatter, the mind chatter, the monkey mind. So it's going on, and I'm noticing it, and I'm saying, thank you for sharing, Thank you for sharing, and it's, I hear you, and I still was unclear on my guidance at that point, but I felt like I wanted to do it, but I also knew that I didn't want to just listen to that. I wanted to listen to whether it was really right for me to do that. And as I was going around and they gave the signal that the fire was ready, I did ask, can I do this without getting burned? And I just had a feeling. And then I ask again, is this really right for me to do? And can I do this safely without getting burned? And I listened. And I got a real feeling, kind of a knowing. And then I did muscle testing. I like to do that too. I double check myself, you know. Double check whether I'm really listening to my guidance or, you know. So I do that sometimes. It helps me to kind of get clear on things. And so, and the message I got was yes. And I stood before the fire and I walked across coals that were 1,200 degrees. And I did not get a single singe, not a burn. It felt like I was walking on grass. I felt like I was just transformed by the very act of doing it. Wow. It was a fire pit about from here to that, well, let's see, how far? It was about almost as long as this front row. Not quite as long, almost as long as this front row here. And I walked across that, and there were two people waiting for me on the other end, looking for me and with their arms out, and I reached their hands. Then you step down in a pail of water and make sure no residual fire is there. And so I got out and I got back in the circle, and I'm chanting again, and I got real clear. Can I do it again? And yes. So I did it again.
Walk or run?
Walk.
Oh, man.
Now, you don't want to run because it throws sparks everywhere, you know? You just walk.
It's kind of the pace.
Oh, you want to see the pace? Okay, well.
Wow.
Just like that. Just like that. No, it's so see, here's the thing. It's not me. It's so important for you to get this. It's not me. 30-something people did this. It's not me. There's something that does work through us that allows us to go through experiences in life that do change circumstances and situations and experiences, literally. 30-something people did this. 3 people made a very wise decision because they heard clearly no, and they didn't. And we celebrated them because the most important thing was they listened to their guidance. They listened to their guidance. So being in the divine flow is about really listening to that flow, listening to that guidance, and listening for the yeses and listening for the nos. And if you don't get either one, you can make a decision and it'll be right, I can assure you. But the important thing is to really listen. So, you know, he talks about this here, and one of the ways that we live and move easily through this dream and move toward our dreams is merrily. The reality is, if we're not doing it merrily, we're probably not flowing very well. The reality is, that's a key element of being in the flow. See, the flow comes through the heart. And the heart feels love and joy and appreciation and energy. And I'm telling you, as I was walking across that coals, I was feeling such joy and appreciation for that, just the experience and for the support I felt around me and the support I felt from the universe to know that I could do this, to know that this was possible, to know that I could step across these. Well, the coals, I'm telling you, this experience is a metaphor. It actually happened, don't get me wrong. It actually happened. I walked across these coals, and it was amazing. And they were hot. Take my word for it. They were hot. You should have stood by the fire while they were building it. It's like, whoa, I'm really going to do this? But they are a metaphor, all of the difficulties and challenges that we face in life. It's a wonderful metaphor for how we can move through life experiences. And the thing that I know from this, because I was willing to listen to that yes or that no, and I was willing to let it not happen. I was willing to listen, and if I got a no, I was willing to say, that's it, that's my guidance. So I knew that I would learn and grow from that experience as well. And those who had that experience of getting a no and not, that was really a powerful lesson for them not to do something unless they really knew that, unless they got that clear yes. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm thinking about this in terms of our lesson this week, and I just love the understanding that, we are really in a very real way allowing ourselves to move up or downstream, and a lot of it has to do with how we are allowing our heart energy to flow. Being in the flow of the divine is really being in the flow of heart energy. In some circles, it's called Shakti in Hinduism. In the more Eastern religions, they call it Chi. We call it spirit. Some call it life energy. But there's this divine energy that's always at work in us and always working through us to move us in a positive way, to move us in a loving way, in a way that really moves us beyond our fears, beyond our limitations. It really is the energy of life itself. And so when we think about our little song, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, the way we do that is merrily. It's not we're not being merry because we're taking the stream to a particular destination. We get to the particular destination because we're doing it merrily. It really has to do with how we are opening our hearts to our love and our joy and our possibilities and our enthusiasm and our excitement and stepping through our fears, our anxieties, stepping through those times where our reactions are to automatically close our heart. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? We have those times that we go through. We find that we think that someone out here has to respond to us in a certain way, otherwise we can't have our hearts open. What if that's just not true? What if we really can have our hearts open regardless of how someone out here is acting or behaving or saying or not saying or doing or not doing? What if there's no circumstance out here that determines whether our heart is open or not? What if that really is simply a choice that we're making? That's what he's telling us in this book, The Untethered Soul, that we have a decision in any given moment, how we're going to be in that moment. Are we going to be in that moment experiencing life as it is, letting it be what it is, and knowing that we are safe, that we are secure, knowing that we are in the presence of the divine, even in those challenges, even in those difficulties, even in those places where the world is not showing up the way we thought it was supposed to. You know what we're talking about? If we can do that, I believe you and I can not only walk on fire, but we can endure what Jesus endured and overcome and be risen into a whole nother level of possibility in our lives. I am absolutely convinced that that's what we're really being called to do, is to really step above where we thought we could be and to really move into something that is so magnificent and beautiful. I love this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's one that's been coming to me all week. And it's one of the things that actually helped me to go through and really do the fire walk. He says, "All that I have seen teaches me to trust the Creator for all that I have not seen." All that I've seen teaches me to trust the Creator for all that I have not seen. I have to tell you that one of the things that made it possible for me to do the fire walk is that I saw others do it. There was others that did it before me. I knew that Edwin had done it hundreds of times. Saw videos of other people doing it, and then even in our circle, saw people ahead of me that were able to do it. That's one of the messages I think that Jesus has for us also. If one can do it, I'm convinced that we all can. That's part of the message. That's one of the things that Charles Fillmore taught, is that, you know, if someone can do this, there's a way for all of us to participate and do it, to be able to come into a higher level of being. So I come across this wonderful thing from, let's see, Irma Bombeck. She says, I always wanted to be a ballerina. Other than that, I had just the usual fantasies that most other women have, where I give a Tupperware party and only Robert Redford shows up. I threw that in there because I think it's important for us to know and pay attention to what our dreams are. Because I do believe that our dreams are trying to move us in a way that blesses us. Our desires are there to help move us into a greater experience of our possibilities. And then Chung Tzu once said, in a dream, I saw myself as a butterfly. Now I'm wondering whether I am Chung Tzu dreaming I was a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming that I am Chung Tzu. We are living in the world of our own awareness and imagination and experience. We are living in a dream, and we do actually have an opportunity to participate in that dream in a valuable, lucid way. George Bernard Shaw says, you see some things as they are and ask why, and I dream things that never were and ask, why not? I love that quote. So, I think I want to close, and I want to close with this quote because I think it really speaks to me, and I think it'll speak to you as well. I think we are here to participate and help create a world where things do work. I think we're here to help create a world where we really do get an experience that life is meant to be good. And that it is good, not only for us, but for everyone. And I do believe that's a possibility. I believe that we have the possibility of participating in a way that allows us to flow with life and allows us to move toward our greater good, allows us to be a part of helping to make the world a richer, more beautiful place. And so I want to close with this quote from Eve Miriam. She wrote this in Peacemaking, Day by Day. And she says, I dream of giving birth to a child who will one day ask me, Mother, what was war? I'd like to join her in that dream. I'd like to ask you to join her in that dream. What was poverty? What was illness? Mother, what was fill in the blank? That's our lesson. Being present, being open to the dream, but being present now in the choices we're making, the decisions to trust and to honor our own spiritual guidance. So have fun with that this week, and probably the rest of our lives. Let's move into our meditation time. So just take a nice deep breath now. Breathe into your heart space. And simply ask yourself, is my heart open? And if it is, just give thanks. And if it's not, it's okay. Just ask if you would like to choose to allow the flow, to allow the heart to be open, regardless of any memories of past experiences. Ask yourself if you will choose to have your heart open, regardless of any thoughts of the future. Ask yourself if you choose to have your heart open. even in circumstances or things that are going on for you right now. And just be open to hearing and listening for that still small voice of yes or no. And let that be okay. If it's a yes, enjoy the experience of the open heart. And if it's a no, just accept and know that that's okay as well. And know that there'll be opportunities for you to ask again and to choose again. To choose love and peace and safety. Or choose what feels like protection. We know it really isn't, but sometimes we think that's what we need. And just ask now if you are willing to allow your heart to open just a little more, just a little more. Allow a little more of the flow of love and life and spirit, a little more trust, a little more acceptance, just a little more of light, of peace, of possibilities. And maybe even just a little more. Just ask for the willingness. And breathe into that space of the heart and listen. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, Blessed Spirit, for always being there to guide, direct, to protect, to uplift. Take one more nice deep breath. Being in that heart space, let your awareness, your energy come back into this room, this time and place. Let your heart be open to the feeling of gratitude for the work that it does, to allow the divine flow to move in and through you. Take another nice deep breath, and when you're ready, gently open your eyes and give thanks. Amen.